Let me paint a quick picture. You're in your early 20s. You finally have a real job. Maybe you just graduated college. Maybe you're working your first full-time role. Your paycheck hits your bank account, and for the first time in your life, you actually have money coming in consistently. So what do? You upgrade a few things. You move into a nicer apartment. You finance a car. You start going out to eat more often. You grab the newest phone. Maybe a few trips with friends. Nothing crazy, nothing irresponsible. Just normal life. And every month you tell yourself, once I make more money, then I'll start saving. My name is Kelvin, and I spend way too much time thinking about how small financial decisions today shape your long-term wealth. If you're someone who feels like you're working hard but still not building real financial momentum, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because the truth is, most financial problems don't come from big dramatic mistakes. They come from small habits repeated over years. And the $30,000 mistake we're talking about today is one of the biggest. The mistake isn't what you think. Now, you might be thinking this video is about something obvious. Maybe credit card debt, maybe student loans, maybe buying an expensive car. And yes, those things can absolutely hurt your finances. But here's the thing. The $30,000 mistake most Americans make in their 20s isn't overspending. It's waiting too long to start investing. Look, I know that sounds simple, almost boring, but this is where the math becomes really uncomfortable. Because when it comes to money, time is far more powerful than income. And most people completely underestimate that. Let's do the math. Let's say two people start their careers. We'll call them Alex and Jordan. Alex starts investing at age 22. Jordan waits until age 30. Both invest the exact same amount every month. Let's say $200 per month. Not huge, just a small realistic number. Now assume their investments earn an average return of 7% per year, which is roughly the long-term average return of the S&P 500 after inflation. According to historical market data, here's what happens. Alex starts at 22, $200 per month, invested for 38 years until age 60. Total invested, $91,200. Final value, about $375,000. Now let's look at Jordan. Jordan starts at 30, same $200 per month, but now invested for 30 years instead of 38. Total invested, $72,000. Final value, about $227,000. That's a difference of roughly $148,000 just from waiting 8 years. Let me say that again. Waiting 8 years costs almost $150,000, and that's with just $200 per month. Now, if you scale that up to what many people could realistically invest in their 20s, that number easily becomes $30,000, $50,000, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the real mistake isn't mathematical, it's psychological. The psychology behind the $30,000 mistake. Here's what most people don't realize. Humans are terrible at understanding exponential growth. Our brains are wired for linear thinking. If you save $200 this month, you think you're gaining $200. But investing doesn't work that way. Money grows on top of money. And then that money grows on top of even more money. And eventually the growth becomes explosive. But in the beginning, it feels painfully slow. In your 20s, investing feels pointless. You put in $200 and the account becomes $210, $220, $235. Not exactly life-changing. So people think, I'll start when I'm making real money. But here's the trap. By the time people feel financially ready, they've already lost the most valuable asset they had. Time. Lifestyle creep, the hidden enemy. Look, there's another layer to this problem. Something called lifestyle creep. You graduate making $45,000 per year. You live like a college student. Then a few years later, you make $60,000. You upgrade your lifestyle slightly. Then $75,000. Then $90,000. Each raise improves your lifestyle, but rarely improves your investing rate. According to a Bankrate survey, nearly 56% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency expense with savings. Think about that. This isn't because people don't earn money. It's because their spending grows as fast as their income. And by the time people finally decide to invest seriously, they're already supporting a much more expensive life. Rent is higher. Car payments exist. Subscriptions everywhere. Travel habits formed, which means investing suddenly feels painful. Now you might be thinking, okay, Kelvin, but my 20s are when I'm supposed to enjoy life. And honestly, you're right. I'm not saying you should spend your entire 20s eating instant noodles and staring at stock charts. That's not the goal. The goal is balance. Because here's the surprising truth. You don't need huge investments early on. You just need consistent ones. Even $100 per month in your early 20s can dramatically change your long-term wealth trajectory, not because the amount is big, but because time multiplies it. The real $30,000 mistake. Let's translate this into something more concrete. Imagine someone in their 20s spends about $250 per month on things they don't really think about. Subscriptions, impulse shopping, not crazy spending, just modern life. $250 per month equals $3,000 per year. Over 10 years, $30,000. That's where the number comes from. But the real cost isn't $30,000. If that money had been invested instead at 7%, it could grow to over $60,000 or $70,000 over time. That's the hidden cost. Because fixing this mistake is actually incredibly simple. Step 1. Automate your future. The first thing you should do is remove willpower from the equation. Look, humans are terrible at saving consistently, but we're great at ignoring automatic systems. So the solution is simple. Automate investing the moment your paycheck arrives, before you even see the money, because now you're building wealth without thinking about it. Step 2. Start before you feel ready. Here's a rule I wish more people understood. You will never feel financially ready to invest. There will always be a reason to delay. You want a bigger emergency fund. You want a higher salary. You want to pay something off first. And those things can matter. But waiting for perfect conditions is how people accidentally delay investing for 5, 8, 10 years. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is momentum. Step 3. Focus on the big 3. When it comes to building wealth in your 20s, 3 things matter far more than anything else. Savings rate, time in the market, avoiding major financial mistakes, not day trading, not crypto speculation, not chasing the hottest stock. Those things make headlines, but they rarely build consistent wealth. Boring strategies win. Step 4. Use the future you test. Here's a simple trick. Whenever you're about to make a purchase, would future me rather have this item or the investment? Now look, sometimes the answer should absolutely be the purchase. Life isn't about denying everything, but asking that question creates awareness, and awareness changes behavior. The surprising truth about wealth, here's what most people don't realize. The people who become financially secure rarely do anything dramatic. They don't get lucky. They don't time markets perfectly. They just start earlier than everyone else. Time quietly does the rest. And the difference between starting at 22 versus 30, or 25 versus 35, can easily be 6 figures of wealth. Final thought. Look, your 20s are chaotic. You're figuring out your career, your identity, where you want to live. And honestly, that's normal. But there's one decision that will quietly shape your entire financial future. When you start investing. Because the biggest mistake most people make isn't losing money. It's simply waiting too long to let their money start working for them. If this video helped you understand the real cost of delaying investing, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And in the next video, we're going to break down the exact investing strategy beginners can use to build their first $100,000 step by step. Because once you understand that process, money starts working very differently, and your future self will be extremely glad you started today.